What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Nazuma Live here, and today you see the video title, "The Evolution of Goofy." Not just any Goofy, Disney's Goofy, the yuck, that one. And 87 years, I didn't even know he was around that long. Now it's time to sit back and learn about Goofy. I was going to do Mickey Mouse, but it was too long. So, plus I like Goofy. So, the video and channel description and channel will be in the description down below. Let's go and jump into this.
Originally created as a B character for Mickey Mouse shorts, Goofy quickly won over the adoration of audiences to become one of Disney's most iconic and lovable characters of all time. In 2019, Goofy turns 87 years old, and in his almost 9 decades of existence, his look, design, and even personality have evolved drastically through a variety of cycles, along with changing animation styles and audience expectations. Over the various eras, Goofy has perhaps changed and adapted more drastically than any other Disney character. Altering close to 20 times across his 87 years of existence, Goofy has seen a slow yet often incredibly radical evolution. 7 years than any other Disney character. Altering close to 20 times across his 87 years of existence, Goofy has seen a slow yet often incredibly radical evolution. In this video, I will trace the evolution of Goofy right from his first appearance as Dippy Dog in 1932 to today in 2019. To do so, we will look at the most drastic and important changes prevalent across almost 9 decades of classic shorts and series, in this edition of Explaining Disney. In 1932, Goofy made his very first appearance in Mickey Mouse short Mickey's Review. Here, Goofy, or as he was originally conceived, Dippy Dog, is seen in his earliest, most primitive design. Here, the character is depicted as a haggard, elderly dog with spectacles and a white beard. He is seen wearing a vest, white gloves, and a tattered tall fedora hat, all of which would become synonymous with the character's look, but in slightly differing designs. Notable here is that the character wears no pants. Goofy, or Dippy's role in this short was as a comedic foil for Mickey and his performance review, as his obnoxious and goofy behaviour caused a commotion within the audience. Mickey's Review not only introduced a character who would soon become iconic, but would also establish one of his most iconic features, the goofy laugh. Here the character is even voiced by Pinto Colvig, who would later become the main voice actor for Goofy for many years. Dippy Dog appeared for a second time in 1932 in Mickey's short The Whoopie Party. Again used as a comedic side character, we see him in a series of outlandish party-themed gags. In this short, the character appears in a similar design to in Mickey's Review, however he has an obviously much younger appearance with no glasses or beard, and with a pristine, untattered hat. Here he is depicted with slightly longer ears, a tail, and shoes for the first time, and his buck teeth are drawn wider, becoming another iconic attribute of the character. The Whoopie Party would also mark the first time in which Goofy shares screen time with Mickey Mouse. Between 1932 and 1933, the character would continue to appear in small cameo roles, taking his place amongst a roster of Mickey's barnyard pals. In 1933's Mickey's Melodrama, he would appear with covered legs for the first time, as he sports a pair of overalls, which would become iconic with Goofy's earlier appearances. In Mickey's Ye Olden Days from the same year, he would appear in a story-themed character costume, one of many that he would wear throughout the years. We won't talk much about these kind of costume changes because they're not an entirely important aspect of the character evolution, and we would be here all day. However, this short is notable for being the final time Goofy would be referred to as Dippy Dog in the animated shorts. In 1934's Mickey short Orphan's Benefit, the character finally takes his place amongst Mickey regulars, spotlighted for the first time as one of the main characters in the Mickey Mouse universe. Also notable in this film is the first appearance of Donald Duck in a Mickey short, though the characters share no screen time together. Goofy's design hadn't changed all that much from his Dippy Dog days here, though we can see vast improvements and refinements in his animation. With Dippy Dog behind him, it's from this short forward, for a few years at least, where he would go on to be known as the Goof. It is interesting to note, however, that the character would continue to use both names from time to time, as seen in the book Dippy the Goof, published
Nope. Sorry, Nintendo. Free Melee.
4 years later in 1938. In 1935's The Band concert, the first Mickey Mouse cartoon to be produced in colour, the Goof appears in colour for the first time. Well, kind of. While he would be shown wearing colour clothing, he would still retain his black and white colour scheme character-wise. In two more 1935 Mickey shorts, Mickey's Service Station and Mickey's Fire Brigade, Goofy would revert back to black and white, then back into colour. These shorts would see him remain in relatively the same design, though with a much weightier appearance. They would also pair him up in a comedic trio with Mickey and Donald, marking the first of a series of iconic classic shorts featuring the three characters. That same year, the Goof continued with his role of Disney regular and appeared in Mickey Mouse short On Ice. Here, for the first time in 3 years, the character underwent a design change. Not only did he swap his overalls for proper clothing, pants and a sweater, but also lost his tail for good and grew an extra inch or two on his ears. His eyes became more stylized, adopting droopy eyelids, making him appear more goofy, and he was given a more flesh-tone complexion instead of just plain white. He appears here in slightly larger yellow shoes with yellow gloves, and his iconic hat was revealed to be brown. By his 1936 short, The Moving Day, Disney had begun changing the way they animated their lead star Mickey Mouse, giving him a redesign that would become the standard Mickey design going forward, which allowed animators to employ squash and stretch animation techniques, giving him the ability to move more freely and more realistically as if he had a real weight and could abide by the rules of gravity. Because Mickey, Disney's #1 star of the era, had undergone such a fundamental change, everyone around him had to as well. In Moving Day, following suit, the Goof's design was refined even further. The employment of new squash and stretch techniques, allowing for more flexible movements, meant that the Goof was given a bit more character personality. Added was a more realistic weight to his movements, making him appear more awkward and gangly. Here, the Goof's clothing would add an extra iconic layer. On top of his sweater was introduced a small vest, and he was given large flat shoes. His gloves would also once again revert to white. Unlike Mickey and Donald, whose clothing would stay mainly in one iconic colour, Goofy's sweater and hat would usually rotate between colours from short to short, though the iconic clothing style would stay the same, with the exception of a few shorts where he would be seen wearing his overalls. His face would also take on a more realistic, flesh-like hue. After a number of classic trio shorts, it became clear to studio storymen and animators that the real star of the show was not Mickey Mouse anymore, who would become somewhat of a straight man, but his two bumbling accomplices, Donald and the Goof. Finding it harder and harder to write gags for Mickey and easier to write gags for the two funny guys, Donald and the Goof were spun off into their own series of duo cartoons. 1938's Polar Trappers would not only be the first time the Goof appeared in a short without Mickey, but the first time he would appear as a headliner, finally taking on the name we all know and love today, Goofy. After appearing in a couple more shorts alongside Donald and Mickey, Goofy would finally debut in his own solo series, the first installment of which being 1939's Goofy and Wilbur. While this short is notable for being Goofy's first solo cartoon, it's also notable for being the first short in which George Johnson took over voice duties on the character after Pinto Colvig fell out with Walt Disney and left the studio to pursue other voice work. Johnson's attempt at a Colvig Goofy impersonation, however, was noticed by audiences and wasn't well loved at the studio. This gave rise to a series of art of and how-to Goofy shorts throughout the 1940s, which relied mostly on an almost dialogue-free Goofy spectacularly failing to demonstrate a series of tasks while a voiceover narrated the action. Whenever Goofy dialogue was needed, the studio would use Johnson in small doses or reuse snippets from old Colvig recordings.
I hate golf. That's why I hate golf. Because you know the ball's gonna get in there, but then it just be an a-hole.
Returned to the studio in 1944 and voiced the character once again, starting with classic short How to Be a Sailor. By the beginning of the 1940s, animator Fred Moore, the studio's Mickey specialist who had originally brought Squash and Stretch to the studio, gave Mickey yet another modern redesign, which was then adapted onto other characters, including Goofy. This new design made Goofy cuter, more expressive, more human, and more attractive to audiences, with more refined emotive features and cleaner animation. A few things of interest during the 1940s included a string of shorts where Goofy would oddly appear with 5 fingers instead of 4, providing a great example of why cartoon characters aren't traditionally drawn with 5 fingers, as well as a large string of solo shorts where he was drawn without ears. In the team-up films, however, he was drawn with them. Throughout the 1940s, Goofy's rising popularity meant that he would continue to star in solo adventures while co-starring in the very occasional short with Donald and Mickey. During wartime, the Disney studio made Donald Duck a poster boy for their propaganda films and put Mickey on a moratorium, fearing damage to his innocent image, which was ailing in public interest. Goofy, on the other hand, would appear in over 20 of his own solo shorts, proving to be the studio's go-to guy for pure escapist comedy, featuring him in some of the funniest, most outlandish, most accessible, and most memorable shorts of the entire decade. 19th go-to guy for pure escapist comedy, featuring him in some of the funniest, most outlandish, most accessible, and in over 20 of his own solo shorts, proving to be the studio's go-to guy for pure escapist comedy, featuring him in some of the funniest, most outlandish, most accessible, and most memorable shorts of the entire decade. 1941's The Art of Skiing is also notable for being the first short to introduce the iconic Goofy Yowl or Goofy Holler as it's become known in more recent years. By the late 1940s, animation styles were changing once again, and Goofy became the target of yet another fundamental redesign. In 1949's Tennis Racket, Goofy's eyes were made much smaller and he was given eyebrows. Goofy's skin also changed from black to brown, though this latter change would only last this one short. In 1950's Motor Mania, Goofy's transformation continued. From here, he was no longer shown with buck teeth or gloves, revealing that his hands were Caucasian skin-coloured matching his face and not black to match his fur. He would also begin to be drawn without ears, though it was later explained that they were tied up on top of his head and hidden under his hat, as they would appear on and off throughout the era. In the late 1950s though, his eyes were made slightly bigger and much rounder, and his buck teeth made a comeback, albeit much closer together than previously. These transformations were done in an effort to make Goofy seem a little more refined, intelligent, and human-like. This was the personal idea of Walt Disney, who felt that Goofy had lost some of his personality after being drowned in a crowd of extras over the years. In this period, Goofy would be referred to as an everyman, and though the title cards of the cartoon would still call him Goofy, within the shorts he would take on the role of George Geef, inferring that the name Goofy was in fact a nickname. George Geef was a businessman who wore suits and smarter everyday wear instead of the baggy casual wear Goofy had been depicted in for 2 decades. 1951 would also reveal that Goofy was a family man with a wife and a son. As part of Disney's plight to humanize the Goof, his family members more resembled humans than dogs, and his wife's face was never seen. Throughout the George Geef years, the series of shorts focused on the character in various everyday suburbanite situations, a clear inspiration for one of Goofy's most memorable appearances decades later. By the mid-1950s, after close to 20 George Geef shorts, it was clear that the everyman shtick was getting old, and Goofy's popularity had begun to wane in audiences. The studio attempted to revitalize Goofy the Goof in a small number of shorts, even producing a number of new how-to shorts. Following an unsuccessful revitalization, with 1953's How to Sleep, the Goofy series would come to an end after almost 50 solo shorts. 1953 would also be the same year Disney's Mickey Mouse series would come to an end, though Donald Duck would continue to be popular well into the 1960s. Goofy would reappear in his everyman style in 3 more shorts during the 1960s, 1961's Aquamania, the final traditional Goofy cartoon produced during Walt Disney's lifetime, as well as 2 road safety educational films released in 1965. Soon after, Goofy was retired along with Donald Duck, while the studio struggled with creative output following the passing of Walt Disney in 1966. In 1967, Goofy's voice
Walt Disney may have been racist and anti-Semitic, but it's not right to just hate him for that. He's done many things in his life, but that doesn't make him who he is. That's just his thoughts. He made great, things. He made beautiful characters, made beautiful movies while he was alive. So let's not really make the bad things outshine the good things. All right, y'all. I understand Walt Disney did said some bad things, but that doesn't make him who he is. All right, y'all. That's just how I am. I always see the good in people, even if they did something bad.
Voice actor Pinto Colvig passed away, making the character's retirement even more indefinite. In a likely coincidental manner, the next time we would see Goofy would be as a ghost in 1983's extended theatrical short Mickey's Christmas Carol. Mickey's Christmas Carol was not only the return of Goofy, but also Mickey Mouse and Donald too. In this, they all returned to their classic 1940s appearances, which for Goofy was evident in his large eyes, spread apart buck teeth, and white gloves. Goofy would again be seen in this design in 1987 television special Sport Goofy Soccer Mania. Following these shorts, Goofy rose to fame with a newfound popularity amongst a new generation. In 1992, fan favourite television series Goof Troop debuted. The series depicted Goofy in a George Geef-esque role, which saw him as a suburbanite family man, albeit less sophisticated everyman and more classic Goof. This was reflected in the character design, which continued to play on his classic 1940s style, albeit with smaller 1950s eyes and the regular depiction of ears. In this series, his main outfit consisted of an orange sweater, blue or brown pants, large brown shoes, white gloves, and a bow tie. He is also seen as a single father, while his son, now named Max, takes on a more dog-like appearance. The popularity of Goof Troop led to two spin-off movies, 1995's A Goofy Movie and 2000's An Extremely Goofy Movie, as well as a spin-off appearance in Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas in 1999. In these three films, Goofy would continue to be depicted in his 1940s style, complete with large eyes and a small vest. In 1999's television series Mickey Mouse Works, Goofy returned to his more traditional persona, retaining his 1940s style, but melded with the now iconic orange and blue colour scheme from Goof Troop. In this series, his hat is consistently coloured green, which has become the most modernly recognised colour of his hat. In 2004, Goofy would appear in Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, in yet another Goof Troop Everyman-inspired appearance, but for the first time in CG animation. This is a design that would later be used in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse series, where it was blended with the iconic Mickey Mouse Works costume. In that same year, Goofy would appear for his final time at the time of publishing this video in traditionally animated form in a hybrid everyman goof persona in theatrical short How to Hook Up Your Home Theatre. In more recent years, Goofy has appeared in a more stylized form in the latest series of Mickey Mouse Disney Channel cartoon shorts by Paul Rudish. This design returns to the classic dippy dog form from the 1930s, complete with thin, straggly body, well-fitted vest, smaller shoes, and a tail. It does, however, utilize a few more modern pieces of iconography, such as the green hat and Goofy's large stature. Just as with Mickey, Goofy has come full circle, and as with everything, what's old is new again. Let's just hope our lovable Goof doesn't go away anytime soon. And with that, it's over to you guys out there. I want to know, what is your favourite Goofy appearance over the last 8...
Alright, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I actually learned a lot. I didn't know that they was using Donald Duck like during World War II as like the main go-getter. Wow, and I didn't know Mickey will stop being used in shorts, and they just stopped using shorts altogether after, like, I think the World War II. I think World War II. I think, yeah, I think so. I think I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go subscribe to Dave Lee Under Down Under. He's an amazing guy. I always used to watch him. I recently just found him because I just found this video and I just wanted to react to it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. Peace.